For our opening piece of music this morning, we're doing something a little different. We're just going to make this up as we go along. We decided that this is an improvisation with this group of people, and they're never going to, well, I don't know about never, but this is the first time we've ever come together, the four of us. And we're just going to see what happens. We're going to call this Watering the Seeds.
Wow, how beautiful was that? Amazing. Good morning. Welcome. I love the enthusiasm. Welcome to Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship and our topic today of new plantings, watering the seeds of trust. I am Kelly Lojadice, she, her pronouns. I'm joined today by our minister, Reverend Barbara Queeman. Today's music is provided by Tad Coriath, our music director, Aaron Patterson on cello, Jeremy Dixon on guitar and handpan, and Jenny Bernstein and Michaela Sievers song leading. Thank you. Today's tech team is Larry Sherwood, Paula Zimmerman, and Kathy Partridge. As I say the welcome words today, I invite those of you on Zoom, scroll through the gallery mode if you haven't done so already, so you can experience the beauty of this congregation. Those in person, just look around and open your heart to welcome everybody here. We're not welcoming yet. just look. We're so eager. So, take in these words. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you express gender, in the beauty That is who you love and how you love. You are welcome here. In all the ways that you make your living and places you are from, with all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon you will return, whether your body and soul want support today, or you arrive with the capacity to support others, you are welcome here today. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, loving heart, and a willing spirit. We welcome you today. We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and many native peoples lived freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. And we commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you're new here, we're glad you found us, and hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to get to know us. And we have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom, check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those in person, stop by the welcome table in our foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer form. It's also on the QR code in the back of the hymnal. If you'd like to view a simple order service for today, we have the QR code on the screen, or click on the link in the Zoom chat. Everyone on Zoom, you're welcome to stay for casual conversation after the service, and if you're in person today, I'll see you for coffee hour in the fellowship hall. If you're joining us on Zoom, feel free to greet each other in the Zoom chat, and if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. We love to know who's among us. And those in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbor.
Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all this morning here and online. I'm Reverend Barbara, the grateful minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. It is our tradition when we come together to light the chalice, the symbol of our faith. I invite you to join in the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, with faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow. We accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. Come, my friends, let us worship together this morning and be glad. Our opening hymn continues to keep us in nature. We sing about the lone wild dove. It's number 15 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen. And Tad, do you have any information or instructions for us?
I do. Just 2 verses. Let's sing those 2 verses, and then we'll go back and sing the first verse again. Heads up, slide person, Paula. Thank you.
Please rise in body or in spirit.
Verse 1 one more time. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me.
I love this time of year. That anticipation of seeing the first flower bursting through the snow or the ground. I also appreciate having some daylight when I drive home from work. As a gardener, I have to trust in the cycles of nature, that the bulbs I planted in the fall and rested during the winter will show new life in the spring. Here, at the fellowship, I trust my 2 covenant groups. I love how no matter what my mood beforehand, I always leave uplifted in some way. But in order to be vulnerable and share so deeply, I have to be able to trust others. And that can be difficult. People often think of me as an extrovert, easily socializing and entering new situations. The truth is, when I walk into a new group or meet with new people for the first time, I am a nervous wreck. Worried about how I'll fit in, how will I be perceived, about the effort it takes to connect with new people, and wondering if I will be listened to and heard. One of the things that helps with my anxiety are the rules or covenant that my groups have about how to act during our time together. These rules set the space, the container, allowing me to relax, feel safe, and become fully present. At my Wise Women Spirituality group, we use many of the rules or touchstones created by Parker Palmer. Palmer also created the circles of trust, which Reverend Barber is currently leading. One of these rules or touchstones that taught me a lot is when the going gets rough, turn to wonder. This one's so brilliant. Turn to wonder. If I take a moment to pause and take a break from my own perspective, my own judgments, and instead get curious about the other person's viewpoint, this pause allows me to attempt to walk in somebody else's shoes and bring compassion for their situation. Turning to wonder encourages me to challenge my own assumptions, and as Parker Palmer says, quote, wonder what my reaction teaches me about myself, unquote. My curiosity allows me to deeply listen to the other person. One of my ministers in Rhode Island said that true listening opens yourself up to possible change. And sometimes that's scary. Deep listening in this manner helps me to connect with another person and to begin trusting them. Think about that excitement of finding a new spring flower pushing through the snow, that wonder of nature's cycles. What would it be like to bring that same wonder and excitement to challenging situations? This shift can make even difficult moments feel more manageable as we turn obstacles into opportunities for our own growth. So, I encourage you today and going forward, try to turn to curiosity and wonder.
My friends, this is the time in our service when we turn to the personal, the individual joys and sorrows, the celebrations, the heartaches. I invite you to come forward as you wish and offer brief, spoken, personal joys and sorrows, or come forward and in silence enter a stone into the bowl of water. Just a reminder, this is not the moment for political announcements or other sorts of announcements about activities. This is about you as an individual and how your heart is doing, how your soul is doing this morning. I invite you to come forward for the sharing of the joys and sorrows. And let us add one final stone to represent all the unspoken joys and concerns in this room. My friends, let us come together in some moments of prayer, reflection, and meditation as we call on Great Spirit to join us together in this community this morning as we support one another, as we hear both the challenges as well as the celebrations. We send support to those who have lost family members recently. Some of our own members are either anticipating or have recently experienced surgeries. We send healing and as speedy recovery as possible to them. We celebrate the capacity to travel, the capacity to see new sights, the capacity to enjoy new family members, the birth of new life, and the acknowledgement of life through the years, through birthdays, through celebrating new jobs, through celebrating new going forward. In our world, Great Spirit, give us strength, give us hope, Give us trust that even through the challenges right now, that our values, our beliefs, our actions can and will make a difference in the long run. Let us never give up hope for a better way, in spite of what we're experiencing right now with layoffs, with interruption of essential services, and more. Together, collectivity can start in this congregation. Let us feel that energy of being connected, and then take that connection and that energy outward into the world. So then, Great Spirit, let us for a few moments then be connected through the silence, here in this room and connecting to those on the airwaves at home, as we listen all the more deeply to that still small voice within. Let us be joined through the silence. Amen, and blessed be. Friends, I invite you to perhaps continue your meditation and or join in singing our pastoral hymn, It's Spirit of Life, remaining in your seats. The words will be on the screen, and it's also number 123 in the Great Hymnal. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Amen, and blessed be. We have a little bit different order of service this morning. I didn't read my notes. Connie and TK, thank you for your innovation during stewardship. We have a different kind of testimonial this morning, online, pre-recorded, from Dottie Stauber, who is a longtime member of this congregation, who is, I believe, in Oregon right now, right? Has continued her membership. That is also continued her pledge from Oregon. Let's welcome Dottie.
Good morning. Greetings from Oregon. My journey with the fellowship began in 2001. I moved to Eugene in the fall of 2006. I continue to pledge and give other support to the fellowship because I consider it to be my spiritual home and to be a force for good in an ever more troubled world. The fellowship is a treasure. It is sustained by our individual efforts, financially, and by our participation, not just each Sunday, but in the nuts and bolts of its organizational life. Our ministry makes a difference in the lives we touch. Its message of compassion, social justice, and of being a place free from dogma, catechism, and indoctrination where all can seek in supportive community answers to our inner quest for truth, is a message people are eager to receive. Together, we create a force of great beauty, strength, and endurance. The fellowship is a safe haven for individual internal growth, offering support with caring concern that nourishes the body, mind, and spirit. It is a place in which to feel safe, be welcomed, and be welcoming. We need the solace it offers, the stability it demonstrates, the creativity that is alive and well within it, the social actions it makes possible, and the courage its presence in our lives helps sustain. And so does the larger community of our democratic society. The music I composed back in 2006 expresses the ideals I found thriving at the fellowship and from which I found and still find sustenance. May you also.
So we managed to get our hands on that piece of music that Dottie composed back in 2006. This is called Welcome to Our Home, a beautiful testament to how meaningful this place is to Dottie. And so Michaela and Jenny and I are going to sing this song for you. This was also arranged by Marlis Brinkman, a former music director here, beloved music director here for many years, who was working here when Dottie was here.
Thank you, Dottie, for that beautiful creation and the beautiful songs. Thank you. Each week, remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives in this community by giving half our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the UU Ministries of the Earth, a seedbed for spiritual grounding and education that inspires deep practices of earth care, justice, and flourishing for all. UU Ministries for the Earth envisions a world which reverence, gratitude, and care for one another and for the living earth are central to the lives of all people. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're at the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do.
For the work and witness of this congregation, as well as the UU Ministries for Earth, your contributions are gratefully received. So as we continue the theme of trust, I have a reading. Trust is the daughter of truth. She has an objective memory, neither embellishing nor denying the past. She is an ideal confidant, gracious, candid, and discreet. Trust talks to people who need to hear her. She listens to those who need to be heard. She sits quietly with those who are skeptical of words. Her presence is subtle, simple, and undeniable. Trust rarely buys a round-trip ticket because she's never sure how long she will be gone and when she will return. Trust is at home in the desert and the city, with dolphins and tigers, with outlaws, lovers, and saints. When Trust bought her house, she tore out all the internal walls, strengthened the foundation, and rebuilt the door. Trust is not fragile, but she has no need to advertise her strength. She has a gambler's respect for the interplay between luck and skill. Trust is the mother of love. Some wise words by Ruth Gendler. So, no pun intended, but I trust this reading by Ruth Gendler has inspired your perspective on trust. Trust, which is our worship as well as our Soul Matters theme for March. Trust is an essential quality at any time, in any community, any family, any relationship. And trust is especially critical in this current and rapidly changing political and social climate we're in, as well as in this time of transitioning in congregational life here at Boulder Valley. A capacity to define and plant new seeds of trust is essential so that we can all keep on moving forward well, maintaining hope in the future, especially as conversations about professional ministry going forward in this congregation will pick up in earnest sometime in mid-April. So today, I want you to consider the meaning of trust, perhaps inspired by Ruth Gendler's words about the relationship between trust and truth. Then let's also identify a few seeds we can plant to cultivate yet more trust, inspired by our current spiritual practice, which Kelly already referred to, circles of trust. And then finally, let's take another look at the importance of trust during interim time, before I conclude with an invitation to the all-congregation covenant workshop, which begins at 11:30 this morning. So I expect we each have our own definitions and experiences of trust. The word may conjure up many images. Perhaps you think of legal agreements for property, financial assets. My daughter and her wife have set up a trust fund for their 7-year-old, hoping that it represents some security for his college education, assuming there still are things like financial saving programs 10 years from now. In social relationships, trust has a parallel meaning. It concerns assurance of the character or the ability or the strength of another in which we can place confidence. Trust is related also to respect, perhaps conditioned by how well we know the subject of the trust. To this, trust is also related to confidence in how life will unfold, especially when we do not have total control of that unfolding, especially during this unsettled time. Echoing poet Maya Angelou, we also build trust with others through the capacity to laugh. And isn't that so true? The capacity to have joy. Trust, like truth, is also aligned with faith. Trust and faith, core to the experience of religion. And remember the word religio, meaning being bound together, invites trust in mutual exploration of those profound questions of life and death. The motto of our Universalist ancestors was, God is love. They trusted that love, which does not let us go, no matter our falling from covenant, no matter our human failings. Universalist love. So I invite everyone to reflect on what trust means to you personally. What does it look and feel like? How do you know when it's present or not? What are the consequences of trust in families, in schools, in workplaces, in communities, in this congregation, in our nation right now? For me, trust is an important, and it's often an intuitive building block of relationships. Trust gives me the freedom to be myself, to express my authentic self, to connect openly and honestly, so to live creatively. Trust is also core to my spiritual practice. Without trust, I'm much less open to spiritual connections with all life around me. And it's connected to risk and survival. In opening myself to another or to Mother Earth, I may risk some hurt or disappointment. Kelly's addressed this as well this morning. On the other hand, trusting a new venture just may well take me into new arenas of life, where I might not only survive, but I might thrive. Alas, trust may be conditioned by our past experiences. Think on it. if you've ever had an event or a person that hurt you in the past, reminders of that event in the present might trigger distrust. Our sensors go up, sometimes unconsciously, lest we relive the past hurt. Perhaps somewhat of a paradox, trust usually builds up slowly and gradually, but may be broken quickly. Trust, it's easy to lose. It's often hard to restore. I suggest that trust is essential for positive relationships. Communities can't function productively without trust. This is one reason why at the start of any new endeavor or any new personal relationship, such as a new ministry, it is imperative to define the values and the expectations which ground the relationship. This is the basis of covenant. Without covenant, relationships are less trusting. And so, friends, a reminder, we continue to develop the all-congregation covenant in the workshop after the service this morning. Trust is also a huge factor in how we relate to power and authority. Without trust, we're much less likely to give ourselves over to leadership in this country, in this congregation. It's hard to trust elected leaders' promises to improve the quality of life for everyone when politics is so polarized, so distrustful. I'll speak for myself. It's also impossible to trust elected leaders whose values seem so out of whack with viewpoints of a majority of the population as to support refugees seeking asylum, or to understand the rights of a woman to choose terms of her reproductive life, or to know that global warming is real. It's hard to trust individuals who can't model moral behavior for our children. For my 7-year-old grandson can't model moral behavior. It's hard for any community to function productively when individuals within that community don't trust each other. So this morning, I have time to identify just 3 of a long list of qualities and practices which, for me, have been effective seeds for growing trust. These qualities are central in circles of trust, which many of you are participating in right now. I've not found any more surefire way of developing trusting relationships so quickly and so firmly. I wish I had learned about circles of trust years ago. I might have saved myself a bunch of grief and emerged from challenging situations with my own integrity better intact. Still, it's here now. It's here in my life right now. And I trust also that you don't need the experience of this program to appreciate how these 3 seeds I want to talk about identify and contribute to trusting relationships. The creator of Circles of Trust, Parker Palmer, calls trust the challenge of becoming whole. He said, if we are willing to embrace the challenge of becoming whole, we need trustworthy relationships to sustain the journey toward an undivided life. So I ask, friends, how might you plant the following 3 seeds of trust in your personal life, or in this congregation, or maybe inserted into the national chaos we are currently in? So the first seed I've already mentioned. Trust is best nurtured when an individual or a community is grounded in covenant, in mutual understanding for how participants will work and walk together, and how we will practice accountability should someone stray from the covenant's values. Covenant is also often described as the glue that holds together a community. Practicing accountability does not mean calling out our walking partners when they go astray. We often have misunderstood this in the past. Covenant does not mean calling out. It means calling back in to the values expressed in the covenant, so to restore trust. Many of you know that last year, Unitarian Universalists approved a new denominational covenant, known, I admit, by the rather perfunctory title, Article 2. But regardless of its naming, Article 2 has placed liberating love at the center of 6 other core values. Just imagine that, love as the center of relationships with one another. In circles of trust work, which indeed is also grounded in love, the statement of ethical values is called not a covenant, but touchstones. But it functions as the same thing, a guide and a reminder about the importance of grounding relationships in trust. So one seed, covenant. A second important seed for trust, deep listening. For me, deep listening is central to nourishing trust. When we listen deeply, we're fully present to the person speaking. We're paying attention, not thinking ahead to how we will respond with ever so brilliant words of wisdom for the other person's dilemma. Anybody ever do that? Deep listening is not about our ego or our advice. Deep listening helps the speaker feel accepted, feel heard. I wonder if you've had an experience of talking to someone and realizing the other person is not really listening. Body language, lack of eye contact, looking at their phone, perhaps even yawning. I've had that happen. Interrupting you before you finished a sentence, or not letting you get a word in edgewise, as my grandmother used to say. My trust radar shoots up quickly when I get messages that I'm not being listened to, or not responded to on an email or on social media. One spiritual writer, Henry Nouwen, calls deep listening spiritual hospitality, through which strangers quickly become friends. A third seed to cultivate trust is the capacity to be vulnerable. Living our authentic self can be risky. This stuff of being human is not for sissies. Most of us, at one point or other, have developed personal defenses to protect ourselves from pain or hurt or dishonesty. The same applies to groups, such as congregations. So I do wonder, could there be any habits of self-protection which have developed in this congregation over the years, which by now you may not even be aware of their presence, such as not calling one to accountability because of fear of their possible pushback or retaliation? It's worth considering, I would suggest. Taking risks and being vulnerable are central to any transitioning process. I've never felt so vulnerable and at the same time so safe as in one particular Circle of Trust workshop. I was recovering from a hurtful professional experience. As I sat in a circle, grounded in trust, I saw myself as a fragile bird, held in the palm of gentle hands, hands that kept me safe. It was in that trusting circle, after a month of pain, that I cried for the first time. Once I could release tears of vulnerability, I moved forward. The sociologist Brené Brown said about vulnerability and taking risks, owning your own story can be hard, but it's not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerability is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy, the experiences that make us most vulnerable. Only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover infinite power in our light. So as we approach the first day of spring later this week, I invite you to plant trustful seeds, covenant, deep listening, and vulnerability. If they sprout quickly, I assure you, the Circle of Trust program has many more startup plants to offer you. Finally, seeds of trust, especially important to plant during an interim period as this congregation is in, because interim time, by definition, represents change, moving past one professional ministry, looking ahead to a new minister and ministry, the details of which remain largely unknown, but which by definition will be different from the past. The more a congregation trusts change, the more successful the transitioning. During interim time, trust in leadership is especially important, both lay and elected leadership, both lay and professional staff. Trust that leadership is acting out of their best intentions for the good of the whole going forward enhances the possibility for positive movement forward. As your resident interloping clergy, it is my responsibility to offer a palette of options from my interim toolkit for activities and ways of being in congregational life, which might be new and different. It's my job to equip you with a range of options for the next phase of ministry, to offer different practices, which I've known from other interim congregations. Staying open to options is vital, because no two ministers and their ministries are exactly alike, and especially because religious life in the year 2025, in these turbulent times we are in, is rapidly changing. We are in liminal space, the space of being in between, neither there nor here. Liminal space, which your president, Robin Rathweg, and I acquired some very helpful ideas about last week in a workshop sponsored by the UUA regional staff here. I've heard liminal time compared to the life cycle of a caterpillar transitioning to a butterfly. The liminal space being that time of the chrysalis, no longer being the caterpillar, standing on the threshold of transformation into becoming a butterfly. So just think of yourselves right now as a chrysalis. I must admit, I have sometimes experienced reactivity, or at least questioning of changes I've started suggesting here since the new year. I want to assure you that any changes I offer, and also changes from lay leadership, are intentionally informed and carefully thought out. None of us humans can command trust from another human. But if you do experience something new and different in the ministry that I bring this congregation, I do invite your trust. If you are at all reactive to change, I invite you to call on another of the circles of trust touchstones, which Kelly has already referred to. When the going gets rough, turn to wonder. That is, when you're not familiar with what's going on, or when we think we disagree with a change, just because it's new and different, to invite curiosity about why any leaders of goodwill have offered the change. Turning to wonder invites a lens of anticipation and creativity, as well as waiting for the butterfly to emerge from the chrysalis. Turning to wonder expands our trust in change. So with that sense of wonder and creativity, I'd like to invite you here in the sanctuary and online then to the second session of the new interim activity of creating an all-congregation covenant, 11:30 to 12:45. In person, we'll start here in the sanctuary and in the sanctuary, and for everyone, in person and online, we'll be in breakout groups for the main portion of the workshop. I trust many of you experienced the energy and the creative conversation in the first workshop in early February. I invite you to trust that that energy is going to continue as you engage in this important project. Trust is central to this process of change, my friends. Indeed, trust brings hope and joy and creativity to this journey we call life. May all this be so. And as we go out singing, let us trust the river of our soul. Please rise in body or in spirit in the hymnal. It's in the teal hymnal. It's 10:7, and the words will be on the screen. There's a river flowing in my soul.
All right.
Microphone check. And we'll sing all the verses, and then we'll go back and sing verse 1 again. There's a river, here we go. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind, flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Our chalice, please join me in the words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth. And now, my friends, go with faith, not the kind that's called to move mountains, but the quieter sort that calls us to take the first step, even when the whole staircase sits beyond our view. As we stride toward the unseen, may we notice that the way unfolds only as we risk traveling it. And may we remember and trust that none of these steps we take do we take alone. My friends, when you leave this space, go in peace. When you return to this sacred space, return in love and in hope and in trust. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. Blessed be. And I trust now you will enjoy the announcements.
Welcoming our board vice president Nancy DeLaura.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Nancy DeLaura, she, her pronouns, and I have two announcements to share with you this morning. The first, Reverend Barbara and Kelly have both referred to, and that is the All Congregation Covenant Workshop, which starts at 11:30 right here in the sanctuary. Just to note a couple of things. One, there will be childcare provided. And two, because of the workshop, the Inquirer series will not be held this week, but will resume next week. Second, General Assembly, also known as GA, is the annual gathering, excuse me, of Unitarian Universalists, where we conduct business of our association, explore the theological underpinnings of our faith, and lean fully into our mission and principles. GA will be held Wednesday, June 18th through June 22nd in Baltimore. You can also attend online. Scholarships are available through the UUA on the GA website, plus the fellowship also has funds available to help members and their families with registration and/or travel expenses, especially those in underrepresented groups. Please contact the Leadership Development Committee for more information or to express interest in attending. Thus ends the announcements.
They cut you off there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeremy Dion for one last song. When Tad asked me to think of a song related to trust, this song immediately came to mind. I've been working in the studio lately to finish up album number 6, which is going to be my first collection of children's songs. This is called the Namaste song, and it's really testing, but in some ways strengthening my trust and resolve right now that our sense of we-ness and collectivity will win out over the me-ness that we're seeing right now at the top. So it's designed to be a sing-along. You'll get it. It's, like I said, it's for kids. You'll get it really quickly. Namaste, namaste. Everyone I see, I hope they have a nice day. Namaste, namaste to you. My heart, I'll keep it open. Your heart, I'll be hoping. Light in me sees the light in you. Now the chorus. Namaste, namaste. Everyone I see, I hope they have a nice day. Namaste, namaste to you. We're all in this together. We can handle the weather. Light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, namaste. Everyone I see, I hope they have a nice day. Namaste, namaste to you. We are just like the others, all my sisters and brothers. Light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, namaste. Everyone I see, I hope they have a nice day. Namaste, namaste to you. Have a great day, everybody.